Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Darwin Oracle. Election fever is well and truly here, and I'm being asked by a lot of people who I think will win the next election. I've also been asked by a lot of people if I could pull some cards and see if that can shed some light, which I've done tonight. I've done it in a way. Malcolm Turnbull, Bill Shorten have been given a card to sort of talk about where they are right now, followed by 3 cards to maybe shed some light on some internal or external influences that we may or may not be aware of. While I was shuffling, this card fell out. When you shuffle tarot cards and a card falls out, it means that it wants to be seen. So it'll be interesting to see what that card reveals. So let's start. Malcolm Turnbull, 9 of Cups, 9 of Swords, 8 of Swords, and the King of Pentacles. 9 of Cups is a card that represents your wishes coming true. But as a person representing Malcolm Turnbull, I think he really does display some positive characteristics. He's coming across as someone that's very confident. I know that he maintains the positive outlook. But when I look at these 2 cards here, the 9 of Swords and the 8 of Swords, I feel like below the surface there is a lot of anxiety and stress. Many sleepless nights is indicated by the 9 of Swords. And I think the worst is behind him. I think as we get closer to the election day, that stress will pass. And I think what the stress is around, just thinking of the 9 of Cups and the 9 of Swords. The 9 of Cups and the number 9 could actually represent the period of time it has been since he came into power. And I had a giggle when I saw that, because that's something that I would say to women who are asking about families and babies, that, you know, pregnancies on the cards, that you're giving birth. And I think for Malcolm Turnbull, he's not giving birth to a baby, but this whole election campaign, this whole build up from when he took over from Tony Abbott to where he is now was a bit like being pregnant. The pregnancy pains, and now we're into the pointy end. We're about to go into labour, quite literally labour as in Bill Shorten. So I don't think there's any surprise that the 9 of Cups has shown up, but that's still a card that's happiness, that's confidence, that's, you know, your wishes will come true. So he's definitely a beacon of light for the Australian public. But he might be wondering whether he went about it the right way. Should he have called an election back in December or January, when his popularity was still high? And, you know, quite frankly, a budget's come out now, and that's got to be difficult. Going back to the cards, 8 of Swords. This also fits in with some of the comments that have been going around about Malcolm Turnbull, which is, can the real Malcolm Turnbull please stand up? 8 of Swords is a card indicating that someone, i.e. Malcolm, is feeling hemmed in. As you can see, they're walking around surrounded by swords, and they're not seeing a way out. And I feel that after the election, should Malcolm Turnbull be elected, this will become less of an issue. I think he will be able to really push forward on his agenda, because he has been voted in. And I think he's very mindful that he's come off the back of the knifing with the sword of Tony Abbott. But that's something that is representative of all Australian politics at the moment. I don't think anyone can trust anybody. And this is an outsider with no connection to the political system or to any political party. That's just my perspective. And again, it's no surprise that it's shown with the knives here. But I think we will see the real Malcolm Turnbull if he gets voted in. At the moment, he's certainly feeling hemmed in. The King of Pentacles, I think that's pretty self-explanatory. He is savvy, he is an entrepreneur, he is someone that has a lot of business sense, he's very resolute, he's not going to make tough decisions and then renege on them because of the outcry from the public. You know, sometimes tough decisions do need to be made, and the King of Pentacles is the right person to make those decisions. I mean, at the end of the day, Australians have massive debt, and it's our young people that are going to be paying that off. Let's go to Bill Shorten. Aha. Prince of Cups. Seven of Swords. Again, swords are showing. The Hermit. And the Hanged Man. Interesting. The Prince of Cups. Wow, he's our knight in shining armour. He's going to come into the arena, and he has got lots of things to say about how he will save us from Malcolm Turnbull. So that's not a bad cup to have. What I'd say to anyone if the Prince of Cups comes into their life is that you always need to be wary of what their intentions are. And we all know what Bill Shorten's intentions are. He wants to be the Prime Minister of Australia. So that's fine. We know what his intentions are. But yeah, he's definitely galloping in, all guns blazing. He is going to be our knight in shining armour. Or is he? The Seven of Swords. The swords are stabbed into the ground, and the woman, as you can see, is walking away. To me, that's a card of not showing your cards. There's something there, and this ties into this Prince of Cups. There's something there that I think Bill Shorten isn't telling us. So, again, can't comment much more because we haven't seen his budget, but maybe this is what it relates to, that until we see the budget, this knight in shining armour may not be as shiny as what was first indicated. So what are you hiding from us, Bill Shorten? The next card is the Hermit. I think it ties into the Hanged Man. There's two major arcana here. These are our first major arcana. There's some massive cards in the tarot spread because they indicate major changes and major shifts. I do feel like these two cards go together because it's all about going in and looking into yourself and asking the questions. The Hanged Man really indicates where Australia is now, that we're at a crossroads, and we need to really look at both leaders, even if we have to go upside down, because sometimes when you're upside down you see things from a different perspective. So whether that indicates us as a nation looking at Bill Shorten from a different point of view and like really questioning him, or it could be Bill Shorten actually taking some time to step back and going, well, what is it that Australians really want? He's definitely got the health and the education budget there, but is he looking at the other aspects, which would be Malcolm Turnbull's strength here, which is the economy and small business? Is he looking after small business? I don't know. But the Hermit indicates that he is actually looking for answers. He's doing some soul searching. And would that mean that he will shift in his views once he does whatever this soul searching is? And I think that's what the Seven of Swords indicates and ties into the Prince of Cups. He is the knight in shining armour, but can we trust him? And the Seven of Swords indicates that there's something missing, something that he's not telling us. And I feel that it probably relates to the fact that Labor hasn't given their costings yet. I'm still having a giggle about this card being the Nine of Cups and really representing someone's getting pregnant and then going into labour. And yeah, it couldn't have come at a better time, that card. The card that fell out, let's see what that indicates. Because at the moment, I'm not really feeling one or the other. I don't feel that Malcolm Turnbull's cards, you know, he's exuding the confidence, but realistically there is some deep-seated anxiety about the upcoming election, the feeling that he can't be his true self. So does that mean that when we vote for Malcolm Turnbull, we will get the real Malcolm back because he's won off his own back? and that person being someone that we know has a focus on getting our books back into order, and for no other reason than prosperity for the Australian people. I don't think it's about competing on the world stage yet. Bill Shorten, he is the person that really can move away from what we've got, but I don't really know what he stands for, and there's something there that just doesn't quite, he's not giving the full truth. So to be honest, I couldn't tell you either way. So this card, oh God, is Judgment. And that basically is what election day is all about. It's not giving me any kind of answer, mind you, except that both parties will be judged accordingly. I'm going to have to do a quick shuffle, I'm sorry about that, to see. Okay. I'm going to pull one card for each party to see if that can indicate Ten of Pentacles, Princess of Cups. It's funny because when I was shuffling the cards earlier, this was before I started meditating, these two cards popped out and I'm actually surprised to see them here. So Ten of Pentacles, again, the choice we have is Malcolm Turnbull and the economic policies and getting Australia not back in black. I mean, that's definitely something that's 10 to 15 years away, but someone that wants strong, if you want strong economic management, you're going to have to vote for Malcolm Turnbull. The Princess of Cups is more about passion, energy and ideas. I don't feel like, and I think that's really important. Obviously, I'm a very spiritual person. Labor's all about the ideals and idealism. The Liberals are all about money and economic financial management. Again, it's not telling us anything that we don't already know. Come on, cards. Help a girl out here. Malcolm Turnbull. Judgment. I mean, this is actually really telling us how close this election is going to be. Two of Wands, King of Swords. I'm going to call it. I'm just going to pull one more card. Three of Cups. Again, this is really difficult. Two of Wands, new energy, new horizons. King of Swords. I'm going to pull it out. I'm going to say Malcolm Turnbull's going to win the next election. And the reason I say that is this card. It's going to be tough. It is seriously going to be tough. But the Two of Wands kind of indicates new energy, new beginnings. If we get Malcolm Turnbull in, there's going to be a shift in focus. We'll still have strong economic outlook, but there's going to be renewed energy, vigor, ideas, people wanting to get out there and, you know, start building on fresh foundations. The King of Swords, I feel like this is Bill Shorten in the next 4 years. He is going to be doggedly keeping the government to account. He will not let anything lie. And that's what you want from a good opposition. So I'm feeling like the Australian public are going to go for financial aspects as opposed to the humanitarian, social aspects that Labor are putting forward. But it's going to be tight. It really is. It leads people to question, do they vote for their local person or do they vote for the party? So, like I say, Malcolm Turnbull with a very, very slim majority. It is very close as indicated by these two cards, two very separate ideals. This is about financial running of the country, and this is about the heart and the soul of the country. But Australia is going through a slump, so we probably do need the Two of Wands, new adventures, new infrastructure builds, new opportunity for businesses to feel energized, revigorated, one step forward. He's looking forward, and this really ties into the Eight of Swords, where he was feeling hemmed in. I think when Malcolm Turnbull wins off his own back, the Australian public will see a very different side to him. But I don't think Bill Shorten is going to go down without a fight. Thank you very much for listening to this. I'm still looking at the cards, trying to figure out what's going on. The Three of Cups is what I pulled out again because I was trying to figure out if I could get a definitive answer, something like the Wheel of Fortune landing on one of the parties or something like that. It just wasn't going to happen. So the Three of Cups means that even though Malcolm Turnbull wins, with the slightest majority, if that, I think we're going to enter a new era of how we relate to each other in politics. The Three of Cups. It's about good times, good relationships. Or could it mean the Greens? Labour, Liberals and the Greens. But whatever happens, it's a very productive time. And that can only be a good thing for the country. Thank you and good night.